In this video, you'll get an idea of what the pattern of blood flow looks like. You'll see how it starts from the heart, goes out of the right side into the lungs, back to the heart, and to the body. The overall pattern of blood flow through the body is something like a figure eight. The heart is at the center where the two loops cross. In the first loop, blood travels from the heart to the lungs and then back to the heart. In the second loop, blood is pumped from the heart throughout the body and then returns again to the heart. Blood travels in only one direction. If you were a drop of blood, you could start at any one point and eventually return to the same point. Believe it or not, this entire trip would take less than 1 minute. As you learn about the path the blood takes through the cardiovascular system, look at this picture. So going more now in depth into these two loops, the first loop goes to the lungs and back to the heart. When blood from the body flows into the right atrium, it contains very little oxygen, but a lot of carbon dioxide. This oxygen-poor blood is a dark red color. The blood then flows from the right atrium into the right ventricle. Then the ventricle pumps this oxygen-poor blood into the arteries that lead to the lungs. As blood flows through the lungs, large blood vessels branch into smaller ones. Eventually, blood flows through tiny capillaries that are in close contact with the air that comes into the lungs. This is the air that you breathe. The air in the lungs has more oxygen than the blood in the capillaries. Therefore, oxygen moves from the lungs into the blood. For the same reason, carbon dioxide moves in the opposite direction, from the blood into the lungs. As the blood leaves the lungs, it is now rich in oxygen and contains little carbon dioxide. This is the opposite of the way it entered the lungs. This blood, which is now bright red in color, flows to the left side of the heart and will be pumped through the second loop. The second loop goes to the body and back to the heart again. The second loop begins as the left atrium fills with oxygen-rich blood coming from the lungs. The blood then moves into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, the blood is pumped into the aorta, which is the largest artery in the body. Eventually, after passing through branching arteries, blood flows through tiny capillaries in different parts of your body, such as your brain, liver, and legs. These vessels are in close contact with body cells. Oxygen moves out of the blood and into the body cells. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes from the body cells into the blood. This blood, which is low in oxygen, then flows back to the right atrium of the heart through veins, completing the second loop, and we start all over again. At this point, you should have a much better understanding of the two-loop flow of the blood as it enters and leaves the heart through the lungs and then to the body.